Welcome to Burnout Solutions. My name is Mona Tippett. I am a registered nurse, a life coach, an emotional resiliency expert, and a mom. I love to help healthcare workers and caretakers and just busy, capable people understand their brain and nervous system so stress, overwhelm, and frustration do not run their life. Here on this podcast, we break down burnout, emotional overload, and survival patterns in simple human language. I love to give you practical ways to feel safer, calmer, and more present in your everyday life. You do not need fixing. What you need is support and a nervous system that knows that it's safe. Thanks for being here. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the new year. I hope you had a great holiday. And I was thinking a lot about New Year's resolutions. I used to always set New Year's resolutions, and I was super good at spending weeks creating my New Year's resolutions. I don't do it as much. I feel like because I'm creating so many goals, I'm always working on improving myself, and investing in myself I have found is the best thing to do. And so I do it often. But today I wanted to talk about how we can use our nervous system and remembering how our nervous system works when we make our New Year's resolutions. And my word for this year is abundance. And I have worked a lot on abundance and scarcity. And I think about it quite often. And this is kind of a prequel to next episode that I already recorded, but I didn't love it. So we're going to step back and explain the nervous system just a little bit more. And next time, we're going to talk about the patterns and how our nervous system blueprint creates these patterns of scarcity and how we can get out of them. But I wanted to just give a brief review of our nervous system and how we often want abundance, but our nervous system is stuck in scarcity. But before we talk about our goals and money, rest, and burnout, and just building a better life, I feel like we need to start with many of us walk around, especially high achievers, with that quiet, heavy belief that sounds like I shouldn't be struggling like this. Other people handle things much better than I do. If I were stronger, more disciplined, more organized, if I planned better, if I used time blocks, if I did this XYZ, then this wouldn't feel so hard. My life would be better. And I want to say just from the start that you're not lazy, you're not broken, you are not bad at life, you are not bad at accomplishing goals or anything like that. What you're experiencing is making sense, and our nervous system really does back all of our behaviors. And I see these nervous system patterns come up, especially if you are a healthcare worker, a teacher, a parent, a high achiever, a helper, somebody who's responsible, somebody who takes on more than maybe other people, in air quotes, someone who has always held it together. And on paper, your life looks fine, amazing, wonderful, successful, but in your body, you feel anxious and scared. And there's a lot of fear driving your emotions, and there's a lot of pressure and urgency. And you just feel like you can't fully exhale and relax. And maybe you've tried several things, and really what we're looking for is a feeling, right? And we can work with our mind and our mindset and our nervous system to accomplish that feeling, because really what we want is self-trust. We are searching for feeling good inside our body. And I have just learned a lot about our nervous system and how our nervous system kind of runs the show. And this is just an important thing I want you to hear again, or for the first time, that your nervous system, not your willpower, is driving your behavior. You don't really wake up and choose, oh, I'm going to snap at people when I'm exhausted. I'm going to have a freak out when I see that the house is a mess, or that I show up to work and we're short-staffed. You don't choose to procrastinate the things that you care most about. You don't choose to overwork and underrest. You don't choose to feel anxious when you slow down and you have maybe a day off or nothing to do. These are your nervous system based responses, because your nervous system has one primary job, and that is to keep you alive, to keep you safe, and to prevent threats from happening in the future. What our nervous system does not prioritize is our happiness, our fulfillment, our joy in our relationships, our long-term health, our ease. Our nervous system has a longing to connect, and it does want to connect, but first it has a drive to protect. And our nervous system perceives threat, real or remembered, and it reorganizes everything around protection. It's constantly gathering clues 12 times per second of, am I safe or do I need to protect myself? And when it feels like it needs to protect ourselves, our logical brain can go offline. And logic doesn't work when we are dysregulated. Dysregulated is when our nervous system is in a heightened state. Insight and thinking about New Year's resolutions doesn't equal change. And just knowing better doesn't mean that you're going to be doing better, because your body will always override the intention of our goals when it feels like safety is at risk. And I do want to add in here that unfamiliarity is dangerous to our nervous system. Our past feels more routine and safer, and things coming ahead that are different and hard and new, our nervous system wants to put the brakes on. So just keep that in mind when you're making your New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go briefly into the 3 states again of our nervous system. So the first is safety and connection. This is ventral vagal. This is where we feel calm, present, flexible. We are able to rest. We are able to enjoy. We connect with other people. This is a state where growth and abundance live. This is a state that my goal is to live in more often than not. And I would encourage you to have it to be your goal, because this is where life feels good and amazing. A lot of us don't live in this state. We live in our survival or fight or flight or hyper arousal. And this is where we feel rushed. This is where we are very driven. We feel very alert. We are productive but tense. We are easily irritated, easily frustrated, easily overwhelmed. And many of us, and I see so many people, this is their normal. This is their normal state. And they feel like life needs to be this way because it's always been this way, or they've created this way and it feels better and more productive. And we attach our worth to how much we do and accomplish. And this is where just so many high achievers live. The other state is hypo arousal, or shut down and freeze. And this is where you feel numb, avoidant, foggy, unmotivated. You don't care. The thought is, I don't care that I don't care. And this, I have to remind myself over and over. It looks like laziness from the outside. It looks like very unmotivated. I use this phrase all the time. If I could learn how to motivate the unmotivatable, I would be a millionaire, but I don't know how. And a lot of this unmotivation is actually your nervous system trying to protect yourself in the freeze response. And again, your nervous system chooses this for you. This is not a logical choice. And these are automatic responses that are perceived through a lens of what is keeping me safe and what is dangerous. Why do high achievers live in this high survival mode? As a healthcare worker, I remember I was taught and I learned to override hunger, to ignore exhaustion, to suppress emotion, to stay alert under pressure. My nephew's wife just had a baby, and I think of new parents, right? We have to get up in the middle of the night. We are taught to ignore exhaustion. We don't get to eat and drink when we always want to. We are taught that we need to suppress our emotion to help our children thrive. And there's so many things that we are just taught to do, for good or bad. I'm not saying that these are bad things, but yes, as a parent, we put the needs of our children above our own. As a healthcare worker, the needs of our patients above ours. As a teacher, you can only use the restroom in between classes. So as humans, we live in a world that demands, I'm going to put demands this of us. And often we are okay with this. And just know that our nervous system adapts. It learns to work with this. We learn to stay sharp, stay responsible. And this is what helps us be successful in our careers, in our parenting, in our homes. But often there can be a cost. And what has helped you survive is now costing you the ability to sustain yourself. And that is where I say our nervous system is working perfectly as it was designed to do, but it's not often helping us. And it's when we can understand that we can make the gradual shift. I think of nurses who finally have a day off. There's no alarms, there's no charting, there's no patients. And instead of relief, they feel restless, anxious, on edge. They think, why can't I relax? Or they just spend the day, in bed watching Netflix. It's more of a shutdown. It's buffering. And your nervous system could have learned, when I'm not on high alert, something bad happens and rest feels unsafe. Not because it is unsafe, but because it's unfamiliar. This also happens and comes up when we want to make goals. When our nervous system is in survival mode, our motivation drops, our creativity narrows, our long-term thinking shuts down, and we get that burnout feeling. And it isn't a motivational problem. Again, it is a capacity problem. And this is where people start chasing outcomes, hoping that their outcomes will finally create relief. And I've thought a lot about that we really are wanting an outcome differently, right? That's why we create a goal. We are chasing something and hoping that feeling will be created with the end result. And I used to do health coaching a lot, and I thought so much about this. And I wanted to talk a little bit about health and weight and the scarcity trap, just because I feel like this is a good example of showing how scarcity can show up in our lives. You can adjust this metaphor into any goal that you want. So when I was doing a lot of health coaching, really people would say, I just want to lose weight. And why? Okay, because I'm going to feel better when I'm thinner. I'm going to look better when I'm thinner. Once I look different, then I'll be happy. And this is the truth that I think we don't talk about enough or realize, but guess what? Being skinny has never been the thing that people are actually after. And what are they after? Well, they're after the feeling. They want to feel relief. They want to feel confident, calm. They want to feel like they are good enough, that their worth is then validated. They want to feel a belonging. People tell me I'm always judged that I'm the heavy one. I'm like, well, you can blame it on other people, but that's actually you judging yourself from other people's maybe input or looks, but it's you judging yourself. People want to feel in control around food. They want to feel safety in their body. And our culture for sure leads this on, and it tells us if you change your body, then the feeling will come. I wish that were the truth, but it's not. The nervous system doesn't work that way. From a nervous system lens, the weight struggles are not often about discipline or knowledge. They're about chronic stress. They're about being in survival mode. They're about feeling a lack of safety in your body. A lot of times it's about emotional regulation through food, and your body doesn't trust consistency yet. And when your nervous system is in scarcity, it asks, how do I get relief as fast as possible? Well, food is a very fast way. Avoiding things is a very fast way. And this is why quick fixes are so appealing, because it answers the question that I'm getting fast relief. I'm getting to the quick fix. And right now we're seeing a huge rise in people using medications or extreme approaches to getting thin quickly. And I am not here to judge or shame anyone. If you want to take the easy way, that's totally fine. I've done a lot of research, these injectable weight loss medications, and if they can save our country millions of dollars in healthcare costs that just come from obesity, I think that's amazing. But I also am not totally sure what the alternative is going to be. And that's neither here nor there. I love and know several people that are on these medications, and whatever, choose what you want. That's not the goal here, is to debate that. But what I am here to say is that the easy path to being skinny often bypasses the internal work that creates the feeling of abundance that you're actually chasing and that you're actually wanting in the end. Because in the end, your body might be smaller, but it isn't stronger. It hasn't built the capacity to feel abundant. It hasn't developed trust with yourself. It hasn't learned to experience follow through and consistency. And you haven't built a better relationship, more times than not, with yourself, right? Your nervous system hasn't registered. I am capable. I can rely on myself. I am somebody that I can trust. I did something hard and I stuck with it. I am a person that I can rely on. And without having that experience, the internal feeling of not enough stays with you at the end. You know, you can change the outside, but you're still living inside with scarcity. And the key point I really want people to hear is accomplishment, again, is not an outcome. It is a felt sense in the body. And when somebody trains their body gradually, when somebody builds strength over time, when somebody keeps promises to themselves, when somebody develops consistency, not intensity, the nervous system learns something very powerful, like I can trust myself. I can tolerate discomfort and it's okay. I can grow without collapsing. I can rely on myself and it's okay being uncomfortable in the situation. And what that does is it creates abundance inside your body. And this can happen regardless of the number on the scale. And that's why two people can weigh the exact same and feel completely different about it. One feels grounded, confident, capable. The other can feel anxious, fragile, and still trying to chase, I am enough. And the same outcome on the outside, but very different nervous states on the inside. Now I wanted to shift and give another example with time, busyness, and the illusion of abundance. Because I, again, see this with a lot of my clients. And time is just another place where scarcity hides in plain sight, especially for high achievers. Many people say, I don't have enough time. I'm so busy. I have so much going on. People tell me all the time, you just do so much. You're just so busy. You're just doing all these things. And I have been in scarcity and I am working on becoming out of it. I definitely have shifted a lot. I still do, I look on paper, I still do accomplish a lot, but I have changed my busyness for feeling more abundant. And as a culture, I think we confuse busyness with abundance. Being busy can feel like being important, having more worth. This was a huge thing from my blueprint, is that we work to prove our value. Productivity shows that you're successful and valuable in society. It can look like safety to our nervous system to have all these things going on. But again, that feeling doesn't come from the time itself. It comes from the nervous system, because busyness can be abundant or scarcity. And here's the distinction. Busyness rooted in abundance feels like, busyness again is in air quotes, feels like purpose. It feels like engagement. It feels like giving back. It is, I am choosing to do this. I am motivated by energy, by presence, by helping make the world a better place. You're doing a lot, but you're not feeling haunted by it. Busyness rooted in scarcity can feel like pressure, urgency. I'm never enough, constantly catching up, inability to rest. You lay down, but your mind wakes you up or prevents you from sleeping. And again, two people can have equally full schedules. One feels alive and driven and creative and happy about it, and the other feels depleted and left behind. And again, the difference is not time management, but it is nervous system regulation. Okay, outcomes do not heal scarcity, but expanding our capacity does. So as I'm wrapping up, I just want you this week or this month, while you're creating goals, what is the why behind it? Think of your nervous system and the patterns that it created. And I want you to think, what if these patterns were not failures, but solutions that my nervous system created to protect me, such as overworking equals safety, busyness equals worth, controlling outcomes, controlling the environment, controlling those around me equals relief, avoiding things equals protection. These make sense to me. Understanding this has really guided me and helped me understand my behavior and the behavior of people around me. And when we stop asking, what is wrong with me, and start asking, wow, what did my nervous system learn here? What is my nervous system holding on to? What is my nervous system thinking that it is being helpful, but in reality, it isn't? When we think that, we can open the door to compassion. And compassion is what creates real lasting change and opens that door of capacity. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about how our nervous system has lived in survival for a long time and how it developed maybe that lens of scarcity, where everything feels urgent, limited, conditional. Because again, scarcity isn't just about money. It's about time, energy, rest, and our personal worth. And we're going to talk a little bit about how those scarcity patterns formed, why it keeps us small, and how healing begins not by chasing more outcomes, but by building capacity. Because again, outcomes do not heal scarcity, capacity does. And that is where real change begins. So think about that. I would love to hear any insights that you got. I would love for you to share this with those around you. I would love to help you make goals and make a difference in your capacity so that you can become more abundant in your life. Because it doesn't matter how much money you make or what you look like on the outside, or, so many things in our life we think is going to give us that feeling, but it's actually the opposite. When we change the feeling, enlarge our capacity, rewire our brain and our nervous system to not be scared of that abundance, then that is when real lasting change happens. And that is what I help people do every week, one-on-one with my clients. I teach healthcare workers to see these patterns in their life and why it causes them to be burned out. And I would love to help you with that. So have a great week and take care. Every week, you're learning something new here on this podcast, and that is a powerful first step. But guess what? Information alone doesn't create transformation. True change happens when you start to think differently and shift the nervous system patterns that drive your behavior. As a coach and an emotional resiliency expert, that is the work I do. I love to walk alongside you, whether it's one-on-one, in a small group that you choose, or with your workplace team. I can help you retrain your brain and nervous system so that stress no longer runs the show. You'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Let's do this work together.